Really proud of our guys for the resiliency shown in Saturday's win, a real good win, on the road, and enjoyed it. And then got right back to work with film review and practice yesterday, really productive, and all sights set on Colorado, getting ready to come back to Autzen Stadium, play in front of our people, and really excited about that opportunity. Questions, please.
Let's start with James Krapia from the Oregonian.
Mario, I wanted to get the status on several guys who went down during the course or appeared to incur some injuries. Jackson Powers Johnson, Stephen Jones, Troy Franklin, Mace, Dante Manning, and Jordan Happel.
Okay. It's a good list right there.
Unfortunately, I take no pleasure in it, but yeah.
Well, Alex Forsythe is going to be day to day. I mean, he was really close to playing. I think he may have been able to play, and he looked good yesterday. Now, we felt that way last week, and we had a little bit of a setback pregame. So hopeful, I just wouldn't count on it. I think Jackson Powers Johnson, maybe a couple of weeks. It is an ankle sprain, so x-rays are negative. So we're very hopeful and also relieved that it wasn't something more serious. Stephen Jones is good to go. Mace Foon is good to go. Jalen Redd's good to go. Troy Franklin will be good to go. Dante Manning's good to go. Happel might miss a week, but I think that's the most that he will miss.
AJ Jacobson, Rivals.
Coach, you really had to kind of mix and match the offensive line a bit that last game, just because some injuries and whatnot, but they were pretty stout. What was your evaluation now you've had a chance to look at that film?
Coach Mirabal on the offensive line did a great job. We've had some guys that have been dinged up, and, we shuffled some guys around, and other guys had also earned some playing time. We want to get those guys in the game as well. The one thing that was a surprise was the pregame issue with Alex Forsythe, and we adjusted, and the guys went in there and they played their tails off. They really did. You got to realize this outfit that we played, they bring so much pressure, and even brought more pressure than expected or than they usually do. In the form of sometimes +1 pressures where they'd have more guys coming than you can block. So you have to sift some stuff, and you have to get a hand on 2 guys with one of your offensive linemen. It just provide enough time. Not only the offensive line, but Anthony Brown was also really good, and sometimes having to redirect protections when they were bluffing one side and bringing it from another. So overall, just really proud of that group. And again, they're not into praise. They just want to get back to work and get better.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Yeah, Coach, the second interception Anthony had there in the fourth quarter, what was the reasoning and decision behind throwing the ball in that down? Was that kind of going for the knockout blow? Because if you score there, the game's over. And then I think you mentioned it might have been a non-quarterback issue. Just wondering more on kind of what went wrong on that play.
Well, 2 things. Number one is, we did want to be aggressive. We'd like to have that play call back. Just being honest, we just analyzed as a staff. There's one we wanted to score. We felt we were going to have to score, that this was not going to be we want to get to 4-minute offense when it was 4 minutes. We did do that, close to 2 minutes. We needed one more first down, but we felt that we could score and wanted to score. We'd like to have that play call back. The throw wasn't what we wanted either. So not a good play and not the call we want.
Matt Bream, 247 Sports.
Yeah, it seems like every week we're seeing more and more of Jeffrey Bassa. Just can you maybe speak to how he played against UCLA, and then also just his overall growth, because it seems like he's getting better and better each week?
Tremendous growth, tremendous potential, unselfishness. I know we've mentioned that before. Just starting to feel more and more like second nature to him, using his hands well, striking blockers, getting off blocks, hitting his gaps quicker, diagnosing plays quicker, playing with instincts. Thought he played well, and it was a game where your eyes were going to have to be really disciplined. For a guy that's new at that position and playing for us this year, he passed the test. He really, some days he'd like to have back, put his head down a couple of times, and all that traffic, right? You got guys going this way, fake handoff that way, quarterback pull this way, lineman pulling the other way. It's a lot. Really proud of him. The guy's really, really doing a good job and getting better every week.
Alvaro Torres, End Zoners.
Hi, Coach Cristobal. You talk a little bit about facing adversity and injuries throughout the season in the post-game conference after UCLA's game. What is the most valuable aspect of that victory for you, and how would you say it will help your team going forward?
Oh, well, the most valuable part was just that, the fact that there have been a significant amount of injuries this year, that this was a conference game on the road against a team that was playing really well. That's, I think everybody, knows them for playing great offensive football and have known them for scoring lots of points and getting lots of yards. And our defense did a great job against their offense and holding them to 2.5 yards of carry. In 91 plays that had under 400 yards of offense. So I think that's important to praise and to make note of. And at the same time, their defense was known for being very disruptive and creating a lot of negative plays. We had 1 sack and 1 negative play in 63 snaps, which is a pretty good ratio. We'd like for it to be even less than that. But to do that with a lot of mixing and matching parts on both sides of the ball and on special teams due to injuries, that's a part that you're really excited about because guys are continuing to step up and develop, and that bodes well for our future.
Jared Denny, scoop duck on 3.
Hey, Mario, going back to the offensive line, I wanted to ask about Dawson and just how valuable it was to have a guy like that who could jump in at both guard spots and perform at a really high level for you guys.
Yeah, the Swiss Army knife guy, it's what he is. All tools. He's got them all. He could snap also, plays right tackle, left tackle. And the best part about it is, we teach our linemen to learn the game from the inside out, meaning at the center position, you have to know, right, exactly what the front is, what certain points mean on certain plays, all that kind of stuff, being able to redirect stuff, readjust stuff, repoint stuff. He understands the game that way from the inside out, and he's gotten snaps at every single one of those positions. So he's been here a long time, been through a lot, battled some injuries, has developed his body. He's become an excellent football player, and his value was tremendous on Saturday.
Does he do anything that makes him more versatile and more valuable in kind of that fluid role than the other guys, if that makes sense?
Well, I think he just earned it. I think there's a lot of other guys that we have that play their positions really well. We have some guys that have more flexibility than others. Guys that are older typically do, right? Have a little bit more flexibility than others. But man, he's really, really smart. He understands leverage. He understands hat position. He's got really good foot and body quickness, uses his hands well, very technical. His power is getting better all the time, and, the mullet, that's a whole different conversation. But aside from that, man, just a lot of positives with him and his development.
James.
I didn't get the snap count, Mario, but I'm guessing that Ajax had his most reps potentially since 2018. How did you feel he played, and what does he mean to this defense outside of just dime, where yes, he was in there for that, but especially after Mace went down, but what his presence means to freeing up KT and Swinson, and when all 3 of them together, obviously that I think that's how you guys kind of drew it up.
Well, he's a really explosive athlete. We've focused on getting him just focus on one particular position, so he could really hone in and become not only more comfortable, but more effective, more confident. And he's done that over the last 3 weeks. And he played well. He had some really good play. I mean, the one, the naked boot, the 4th down by DTR is one he'd like to have back, right? It was a hell of a cut by the quarterback. Now, I mean, he cut so hard, he almost slipped himself, but you got to know where your help is, right? You got to know you're the inside out tackler, and you have a flat defender who's going to tackle him outside in. And that's the beauty of repetition, right? In the heat of battle, you know that, and you stay inside out. But he really did a great job playing with effort, playing with toughness and physicality. I mean, he's getting better every week. I mean, we really got to push him because sky's the limit for Adrian. And we're going to push him hard because the better he gets, the better chance this football team has to win. And I think every player deserves that. Every player deserves to be challenged to maximize their potential. This is his time now. And he's got to make it happen. And I'm confident that he'll respond and continue to get better every week.
Zach Neal, Ducks Wire.
Coach, you had 11 different players catch passes, and I think probably one of the better passing days that we've seen this season. After watching tape, what did you see from Anthony Brown and kind of the offense as a whole that allowed you to have so much success?
Well, we saw number one, play design. 2, they stack the box, and with what they bring up front and the issues that they cause up front, you're going to have to make plays in the back end. So him being able to diagnose coverages, get the ball out on time. I believe he was 29 of 39, so he was pretty accurate. A lot of balls, some he'd like to have back, and of course the interceptions were ones that were not good throws. But there's a lot of good plays and a lot of really good throws that he made that changed the game. And then he changed the game with his feet as well, on the big run and some of the other runs. And just the threat of being able to run like that also has an impact on the defense and what you see. he also was a very good decision maker in the running game, which also impacted the game. So all in all, just a lot of really good execution by him, by our receivers, by our offensive line. The running backs in protection were very valuable. I'm sure you guys saw some of those clips. So we're starting to get more in sync, you know, and now we have to show just a greater determination for executing at a higher level, because there was more consistency. It's not all the way to where it needs to be. There is progress. We're excited about that. And it starts with the quarterback, the guys up front.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
You guys have been so consistent on special teams, but a couple of mistakes there. On the punt block, can you help diagnose what happened there? And then was there an issue with the snap or anything on Camden's extra point? He's just been so consistent. I was curious if anything took place there.
None at all. The block punt is inexcusable. Miscount by the shield, the right shield. It's a very simple count and just miscounted it. Really, really upset with that one, but we'll fix it at the end of the day. If it didn't get done, we got to take that on as an entire organization and get better at it. And then the missed extra point was just, you know, hit it poorly, bottom line, followed by a kickoff, you know, uncharacteristically that went out of bounds. Now, what did we see after that? We saw a really good extra point, split the uprights, and we saw a ball get kicked 8 yards deep in the end zone. So, you know, man, you never want mistakes. We know that, but you also want to see the type of response you get out of a player. And I thought Cam responded really well after the missed extra point.
Matt.
I realized Forsyth's injury may have factored into this a little bit, but you started Bass at left tackle, and then you had some other shifting around a little bit. Just what led to, was that anything more than just Forsyth being out?
It was a lot of it due with Forsyth being out, and then, you know, trying to keep we don't have our alignment on pitch count, but we were a little bit banged up and we were figuring out those pieces. It would take all day to explain that on this conference call, so I'll spare you the boring details of that. But we felt that we were going to have a nice rotation of guys that have played beside each other, maybe in different spots, but the matchups were going to fit. What we were running schematically was going to fit as well. And just watching tape, I mean, you had some guys grade out really, really high. That's hard stuff to block now. I mean, again, I know I used the term Star Wars to describe their defense because, you know, and I know some of you guys are probably too young to remember Star Wars was a good movie back in the day, but, you know, it comes in all kinds of different ways at you, and you've got to have tremendous eye discipline, and your reaction time has got to be instantaneous. Those guys did a really good job protecting the quarterback for the most part.
Star Wars is still a good movie.
Okay. I agree.
AJ.
Coach, we've seen some incidents around the country with some fan bases that have got their team in trouble with, you know, throwings on the field, different things. What would you say as a program are the expectations of the Oregon fan base?
You know, they provide the best atmosphere in all of college football. And look, I know I had I call it family time. I had a little family time with some of our fans over there in the Rose Bowl. And I appreciate that time, because to me, if you're part of our fan base, if you're part of, you know, a member of the organization, you're part of the family. And I probably could have used, I should have used a better choice of words, but we have the best atmosphere and advantage in the country in our home stadium, and family could talk like family. And so, you know, we chopped it up a little bit to get ready to get back into Autzen and do what we do. Because look, there's going to be times where there are frustrating moments. We all have them. I get it. I totally get it. But I also fully understand, and I hope we all understand and could agree upon, that when Autzen is on fire, there is no comparison. And that's where we need it, week in and week out. And so it's a little family time.
James.
You talked about how Devin has improved himself in practice, Mario, and obviously, again, another week where he has the performance and production that he had. Can you speak to that and how he's made that consistent now the last couple of weeks? But not just him, Micah, has he done things not just on the field during games, but has he taken things differently in practice to get the production that he got? Because that's, I think, near or close to a career high by way of reception.
Yeah, we're going to keep pushing both those guys. I'm going to say that, you know, they're continuing to do things in practice that are affording them these opportunities, but there's more in the tank. There's more in the tank of both those guys. And the expectation is full throttle every single day, having a determination to continue to improve and push themselves and their teammates and do whatever it takes to improve. And I want to stay along those lines, because I really appreciate these two guys. I know and I watch the potential, the level of potential and impact that they have. And to me, there's more in the tank, and we got to get it out of them. And I'm excited for them, excited about them. They're great people. They're on their way to being great players. And I want to do nothing more than to challenge them and help them in any way that we can. Because look, Coach McClendon, he doesn't do a good job. He does a great job with those guys. And we feel like every single week they're getting better and better. And we're doing it because we're demanding their very best, and we got to keep doing it.
Alvaro.
Well, Noah Sewell and KT were both honored with individual awards this week. How does this affect your team's morale, and does it work as a motivation for their teammates?
I think it's always nice to be recognized, but I think these two guys, they're not motivated by that at all. I think these guys are motivated by team success. They're motivated by the 1-0 process, and they're taking that 1-0 process to a whole different level as it relates to every single rep. Heck, even everything they do. I mean, the way that they watch film, the way they attend meetings and take notes, everything with them is about 1-0. To them, that's just a byproduct of the process that they've taken on. So, but I think it's well-deserved. I think they're just scratching the surface in terms of those types of honors. And, we need continuous just elevation of their play to continue down the path of our goals.
Eric.
Coach, it seemed like DJ Johnson played a little bit more offense and a little maybe less defense on Saturday than previous games. Is the return from some of those guys from injury kind of helped that or led to that? And kind of, is he splitting time still between both? Is that going to be the play the rest of the year?
Yeah, the return of those guys is part of it. And we also want to be fair to DJ. I mean, that guy has really been unselfish in trying to help us out. And if you make a switch like we did with him, once the season started, and have to learn the field, the boundary, first and second down calls versus multiple formations and personnel groupings, and the third down stuff, and do the tight end stuff. I mean, that's a lot. And he did a really good job doing all that. But now we want to do what's right for the team and what's right for him. So we have limited some of the defensive stuff with him, but we're also increasing and putting him back on track to the offensive stuff that he has been doing for the past couple of years. And it didn't take him much time to get right back in the groove, with what he is good at. You saw that block on Anthony's run and countless other ones. I mean, he changes the line of scrimmage. He's a really good wide receiver too. I mean, he stretches the field well and just does so many things that impact the game. So we love having him on both sides of the ball.
And for two more, James.
To Colorado specifically, Mario. Offensively, they have quite the running back duo, but the production just has not been there for them this season. What have you seen from their running game specifically? And obviously Landman is kind of the heart and soul of that defense, has been for some time. How do you try to mitigate his impact when he's a run stopper and he had 14 tackles against you guys a couple of years ago? He is what he is. But how do you try to mitigate his impact on that side?
He's a special player now. I mean, that's hard to find a guy that diagnoses plays as quickly as he does and triggers right now. Play action back to his drops, downhill in the run game, sideline to sideline. When he gets there, you feel it too. I mean, you see linemen getting off double teams quickly because they know that when they got to block him, they better bring some oomph with him because it's going to be a collision. He's complemented by some really impressive defensive linemen, big, long, strong guys, speed of power guys. On offense, I know that there's been games where they haven't found their way, but we've also seen what they did on the ground last year. I know they made a change at the offensive line position this year, a guy that I worked with back in the old place I was at, and he's a real good football coach. So we could expect their very best and a lot of the good stuff they have been doing over the past couple of years. So top three defense in the conference. Really took that game down to the wire with Texas A&M, shut out Arizona. There's a lot of things on tape that we're very well aware of the caliber of talent that they have. Their punter really changes and flips the field. He is excellent. Return game is really good. Some talented wide receivers that we have recruited, defensive backs that we have recruited as well. So, we're very familiar with them. There's a lot of carryover personnel-wise from 2019. And, we actually started preparing for them in 2020 before the switch and everything else that went on. So we feel like we've got a pretty good jump on them game plan wise, but tremendous amount of respect for them, their players and their coaches.
Last question, Zach.
Coach, back to Kayvon for a second. He said after the game that he was exhausted after playing his first full game of the year. A couple days later, how do you feel about how his body's holding up, how that ankle is, and how his conditioning is after missing so much time earlier in the season?
Oh, he's a pro about his approach. I think when you do this right, after every game, you should be exhausted. If you're doing it right, you should need to be borderline carried off the field. You expend yourself completely. And that's what he does, which is a testament to his competitive character and how badly he wants this team to win. And then our operation here, our sports science department, our nutritional aids and whatnot, we really attack recovery extremely well. Even with practice yesterday, which is, more of a get your body back practice, but we are running around. We are refraining from letting our bodies just sit still and accumulate soreness and letting the blood pool and all that stuff. So between his approach, our recovery process, the nutrition, we feel we're in a great spot physically.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Be safe out there. Go Ducks.